Engage, Captain.
Hey, Iron Man, did you hear that Dave Bratton is going to be on Gary B's 1011 show?
Dave's going to show off his favorite action figures and toys.
Do you think we'll be two of the figures he's showing off?
It'll be nice to be featured on a YouTube channel with more than 1,000 subscribers for a change. What the sh**? I have no doubt we'll make the cut. We are the greatest heroes in our respective superhero universes. Hey!
Oh, come on!
We're like right here.
We all know who the real stars are. Me! And whatever washed up has-been gets lucky enough to play my sidekick in the third Deadpool movie.
What was that, bub?
Did I say sidekick? I meant lackey.
Yay! Heading to Gary B's channel, or else.
Just a little there. That's all right.
Sorry, I hit the button by accident. I was trying to be ready.
All right.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Welcome in everybody to the 1011. We have a special guest. His name is Dave Bratton. You just saw him not long ago doing comics. He's doing our first action figure 1011. And of course, we couldn't just have Dave on without bringing along a few of the people he pays to be his friends. So we have Joe, Anachronic Comics. Joe,
where's this month's payment, Dave? Come on.
And then we have Mr. Mark Andrews joining us.
G'day.
And then we got my Tuesday wingman. We have Steve the Voice White. He's in a little bit of a dark over there. He's very brooding this evening.
Mm.
And then, of course, we have the man of the hour, none other than Dave Bratton himself. Dave, how you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you doing, Gary?
Good. I have been looking forward to this. So I love playing with this format, and I love having people on that are passionate about what they want to show. And I have no doubt that you have just nothing but love and passion for everything you're going to show us tonight. So I'm excited to see what we got in store for us. And but before we get going, give a quick 2 minutes of who you are. We'll go say hi to the chat, and then we'll come back and let you take over the show, as it were.
Okay, sure. My name is Dave Bratton. Some of you may actually, if that name's familiar, because you know Doug Bratton, the author of Isolation. I'm his big brother. Let's see. Tonight, I've been collecting comics and action figures. I started as a kid. As I got into high school, I stepped away from it because that wasn't the kind of thing, you did when you were in high school where I lived. So it was just like moved on. And then I quickly, within a few years, kind of got back into it. And, you guys know I love comic books and superheroes and all of that, and film and movies. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight in television. But with the action figures, about 7 or 8 years ago, that the video we saw at the beginning, I started using them as a way to express myself creatively, to have fun, to use what I knew about making video and maybe trying my hand at a little sketch comedy, for lack of a better term, and started that channel. And it's got over 100 videos on it now. So if anyone's interested, you can check them out. But yeah, no, my basement, as you can tell, is just covered in action figures. I've been collecting for a very long time. But I didn't start out as a collector. I started out as a kid who just liked playing with the figures and liked the characters. Right. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, like everything, once we grow up, it becomes a sort of different way of collecting things, right?
Yeah, totally.
All right, well, let's say hi to everyone in the chat. We have first in this evening, the OG herself, Miss Tina Carrington. Good evening, Tina.
Hey, Tina. Tina.
Hey, Tina.
James Las Cruces, how you doing tonight, sir? I hate to call him out, but here we go. We have the Jackson Roykirk. Good evening, Jackson. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Still subscribed, eh? That speaks about volumes.
Right. Mr. Mark Andrews. Yeah, Jax is always posting stuff that brings back nostalgia on his channel. Like he brings up all these old promos and stuff. And you watch it, it takes you back to when you were a kid. Got Joe saying hello, Dave saying hello. All right, we have Steve White. We have one of my all-time favorite people, Jerry the Jitterbug. How you doing tonight,
Jerry.
sir? We have Brother John's Comics. Good evening, Brother John. How you doing? We have Mr. Doug Bratton. Good evening, Doug. Nice to see you, sir.
Hey, Doug.
Guys, go check his IG for more updates on Isolation. We have Paul, Psychedelic Comics. Good evening, Paul. Nice to see you,
Paul.
sir.
Hey, Paul.
We have Brad Wellbore. Good evening, Brad.
Brad.
Hope you're doing well.
White Walker brother.
Then we have we have Mr. Chuck Hensey. Good evening, Chuck. Nice to see you, buddy.
Chuck.
Hey, Chuck.
All right, and we have Mr. KBDM. Good evening, sir. Great to have you along. At least Dave is here. There you go. You're the one redeeming factor in the show for him, Dave.
Wow. I can just feel the love oozing.
Right, J. Thomas Monica. How you doing
Hey,
tonight?
Tom.
Great
Good
to
to
see
see
you. All right, and as people are getting their notifications and popping in, I will silently give them a little tip of the hat and welcome them in.
Hey, Adam.
But as it were, this is your show, Dave. Let's get into what you and I have been waiting for. I want to see what you're passionate about. I know you want to share it with us.
Remember, Dave, it's the 10-1-1. Okay,
Oh,
no
Joe.
deviation.
Oh, disregard that.
Yeah,
Joe,
I might
thank
have
you
to
for,
change the thumbnail real quick. The Joe one.
For reminding me of that, because I've seen the show when you're on it, and
Who, me?
one quickly becomes 5 things before we move on to number 2. So I have actually come up with a name for that. I call it the Travato loophole, which is where you show one thing, but you really have more to show with it. And I am planning to use the heck out of the
I
Travato
don't know
loophole.
what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Travato
bad.
clause.
TM.
Bravado clause. Yeah, I can
Trademark
see
it.
that.
Trademark.
It's funny too how those lawyers all of a sudden forget to count when it's in their favor, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I am invoking the Travato loophole to begin the show.
All right, let's do it.
Because I'm starting with something. I mean, these aren't the first action figures that I ever had, but they're close to it, and they're the action figures that made me love action figures. So yes, plural. I'm starting with these. There was a little movie in 1977 that some of you may have heard of. Little tiny thing called Star Wars.
Yeah, might have heard of
And
it.
here's my Kenner Luke and Han.
Nice.
These are the actual figures I got in 1978 because they didn't produce figures in 77. They didn't know Star Wars was going to be Star Wars, a worldwide
Right.
phenomena. So you
Yeah.
had to wait. So we got these. I didn't even see the movie until 78. My dad waited to take Doug and I until he thought we were old enough. And thankfully, the movie was such a hit, it just kept playing. So these were 2 of the figures I wanted to show you. You know, they're small, so it's kind of tough to see. So I want to kind of give you guys a better visual on those figures. So here we go.
Oh, yes.
These
That's
are the
better visual.
originals in the package. They're called 12 backs because they have the original 12 action figures on the back of the card.
Yeah.
So this one, Doug and I bought this, oh my gosh, I think in the 90s.
Wow.
Back in the he and I in the 90s decided to start collecting carded Star Wars figures. And we have just about every Luke and Han. We're missing only one in terms of their
Wow.
original release. So this is a Luke 12 back. The Han 12 back is a more recent purchase. I'd sold a bunch of comics and basically Zap had a great deal. And I'm like, you know what? I can't pass this. No, honestly, I said I was going to pass it up. And my wife said, you've been wanting that figure for 30 years. You
Oof.
just sold a bunch of comics. Go get it. So thanks to my wife, you know, I now have the 12 back original Han. So those are the 2 from 1978.
Nice.
And I love the cards on them. I love
yeah.
the bubble. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, in 77, you couldn't even get the figures. You got a coupon promising you would get the figure in the next
Yep.
year because they were
Mail
having trouble
away.
with the
Yeah, the
manufacturing.
early bird.
process.
Yeah.
You got
Ordering
the,
at Christmas,
you got the
and
cardboard
you'd get an
stand.
empty box with a
Yeah.
coupon promising that you'd get figures.
You'll get your figure. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
that.
it was pretty wild. And really, those figures, the size sort of changed action figures because prior to
Yeah.
that, like the 12-inch
They
GI
were
Joes,
big.
the Migos that were 6 inches, and this kind of like made it the new standard. It's not that there weren't others this size, but they made it the standard. So
Did you get the big ones that came out later, the tall
Oh
ones?
yeah, those giant ones.
They
So-
had
I
like
remember them.
cloth outfits and stuff.
yeah,
Mhm.
we had those. And Doug can attest to this. I love my mom. She might be watching. She sold those at a garage sale for 80 cents a piece.
Way to go, Mom! You got some
Love you,
chicken
Mom,
nuggets
but-
out of her.
Yeah, not the. Oh well. But you know what? I still have all the little original guys. So
Yeah, that's good. There's
I
something.
think I kind of more than made up for it, and Doug and I more than made up for it by buying the originals on the card. We, like I said, we started doing that in the 90s, you know, and the prices
Right.
were very different back then. I mean, some of the stuff we got is amazing. Some of the stuff we passed up, you just, you want to kick yourself. A Droid's
Right.
Boba Fett, I think was on sale for like $175, and we asked if we could pay a little less, and the guy's like, nah, the figure's in the thousands now, several thousands. So, you know, it is what it is. But I wanted to start off with Star Wars, which is, you know, kicked off my love for a lot of things, films, toys. Star Wars and superheroes are kind of it for me. And so I really wanted to start with that.
Well, it doesn't get any more classic than Han and Luke anyway.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
No.
like we fought in the schoolyard on who was going to be Luke and who was going to be Han at recess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so funny. I don't know.
You're Luke. Yeah.
No, I want to be Han. Everyone
Well,
wanted to be Han.
I was just gonna say when I was young, I thought Luke was it, right? And then the older you get, you're like, oh no, Han's the cool one.
Han.
Han's the cool one. man.
And then you flop.
Well,
as
I
you
was
get
older than all you guys, and I immediately associated myself with Han.
Yeah.
Especially because I knew he was going to make it with
he was
Leia,
the
so-
hero. So, you know, yeah, he was the guy. So that was yeah,
I
the
associated
super
with
high-grade
being
card
Chewie.
of those figures, and they're really nice figures. They're not beat up. And yes, Wellbore Han did shoot first.
Yes, he did shoot first.
Yes, he did shoot first.
So that's the
Neat.
first one. And I promised myself I was going to try and get this done in an hour tonight. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to go for it. So, so next, like I said, Star Wars and superheroes were it for me. We saw Star Wars in the summer of '78. In the end of the winter of '78, we saw another movie that kind of impacted me a great deal. Anyone who knows me has a clue as to what that is. It's in the background. But Christopher Reeve, the Superman film, this was the figure that came out with that.
Mhm.
This actually was a gift that my brother helped my wife find for me several years ago. I had this as a child. I think this was also sold at said infamous garage sale.
Yeah.
So I have this, but Christopher Reeve, that's my Superman. I really do appreciate a lot of the other Superman actors, but for me, it's Christopher Reeve, and invoking
OG.
the Shadow loophole, and not to its fullest extent either. That wasn't the only Christopher Reeve action figure
wow.
I had. This is the Hot
Nice.
Toys version. And this
Yeah, and Hot
is-
Toys just does such an amazing job on the face
They do.
sculpts.
Oh, they're
They
an
do.
incredible company. And this is the NECA version. I do also have the Mezco and the Mattel small 3 3/4 inch Christopher Reeve. If anyone makes a Christopher Reeve figure, I buy it. So
Mom's taking a beating on this
unsurprisingly.
show.
Unsurprisingly. So yeah, Christopher Reeve Superman had to be. Star Wars came out first, so those are my 1 and 2 in terms of, flashpoint events in my childhood that
Well,
shaped who I am as a fan.
Mhm.
right. And when that Superman movie came out, like Christopher Reeve just embodied it so much. Like he just took
He
over he just took over. He was
He
just
did. I
Yeah.
mean, the writing
couldn't
by
imagine
Tom Mankiewicz, the direction by Richard Donner, like, to me, when a film comes together, you have so many collaborators on it, and if one thing goes wrong, the film may be terrible.
Right.
John Williams' score, I mean, all of it came together in such, a magical way. Like, a good film to me is alchemy. It's all these ingredients that form something just you know,
Right, and
magical.
he brought such a pureness to the character, which was perfect.
Yep.
He did.
Which
No,
I think some adaptations miss out on. It's like, no, there's a pureness to him. There's a, an innocence. He's not naive, but there's a pureness
Right.
and innocence to him.
it's a goodness. It's an inherent
Right.
goodness. And I understand there are things that people do with the character. They want to make, him more relatable or interesting or whatever. I'll stop doing air quotes. But I think it works best when you just make him a really good person who uses
Right.
his abilities to save and help others and make a difference. And I think honestly, that's such a lesson. It's been a lesson for me. I think it should be a lesson for everyone. Take what you have, take what you can do. I was talking to a coworker today about why I do art for people. Like, it's something I can do. And if I can do that and make someone feel good, that's something I like to do. Use my abilities to try and make a positive difference. And that's when you do that with Superman, you do Superman right, in my opinion.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And when he can't help somebody, you see the pain in him.
Absolutely. Yeah. No question. No doubt.
Good number 2.
That was number 2. Let's go to number 3. We're going back to
Even though there were 3 number 2s, we're letting it go.
North missed that one.
Mark, it was Superman, Mark. It was Superman.
Don't
Yeah.
worry, Mark.
So
Right,
Mark,
only 3. That's called Joe Light.
I know. That was Joe Light.
if you mouth off again, it's going to be a problem, buddy. This is number 3. It's not all action figures.
It's a toy.
No.
That's the best.
The gun.
Star Wars blaster from 1978. How I got this, I went with my mom to the store to buy my brother Doug a birthday present. Instead, I bought a present for myself.
Oh boy.
Oh, this
boy.
baby.
Way to go,
Nice.
big brother.
That's your blaster, Doug.
Nope. Well, luckily, my mom bought one for Doug, so he got one for his birthday. When I did not come through, and I'm like, oh, that's mine. So this is number 3. Like I said, they're not all action figures. Most of them are, but this one, it's Han Solo's
If you have that, you got to show it.
You got to shoot
Han
first.
Solo's blaster, guys. I
Shoot
mean,
first.
and what better to threaten Mark with, So
What? Now, did you and Doug shoot at each other with those and pretend to both be Han Solo while you're out in the yard?
you know what? I'm sure we blasted at each other before we really started throwing punches at each other. So we were those kind of brothers, unfortunately.
Who got to be Greedo?
Yeah, no, but we both had one of these, and this is just, and actually I am missing one piece. This piece here is missing there. Everything else is perfect. It's in really great shape.
You could probably 3D print that piece.
Probably find that
And Doug's
somewhere.
saying,
Or
it's
find it on
original, no
eBay.
orange nozzle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
look, that's the thing about these types of toy guns that used to look realistic. I mean,
Right.
I
Before
had
the
a
law came out.
realistic looking Uzi when I was a kid. I mean,
Yeah, I had one of them too, a
people were
water
getting
gun.
Shot. They were water guns.
Yeah, I had the
Getting
Ingram
shot,
Mach
people were
10.
trying to hold up convenience
Dave,
stores. Yeah, so
Dave.
they had to change that.
Me and my gang of kids, we had about 12 kids in the village, in the West Village. And we played different games during different seasons, right?
Mhm.
One game that we played when it was like, fall or whatever was Western sheriffs and bank robbers.
Yeah.
And we walked around the street because there was these places people used to put their garbage cans there in the West Village in these, small buildings. And one guy had this thing where he put them in there and it basically looked like a jail. So that was our jail.
Perfect.
And so
Cool.
some guys, and we all walked around with rifles,
Yep.
and stuff. I mean, and you'd have guys guarding the
Winchester.
guys like this with the rifle. You come in and you shoot them, like, I mean, can you imagine seeing something like that? And we did this routinely.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that was what we did.
it was a
And that's
different
when you had
time.
the old cap guns, too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, cap pistols were great. I
Yeah,
had a bunch of them, and they looked realistic. Little stub nose 38,
Yeah.
45s.
yeah.
I had one of those.
Jackson, live and learn, Jackson. You got to learn about this stuff. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
A 3-inch stick.
Those water pistol Uzis were awesome. They would shoot like 20 feet.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, they were
great.
battery operated.
I
So, yeah,
still
they were
have
powerful.
mine. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Steve.
Yeah, I still got mine too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I would never take them out now.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Walk around the street. I'm just shooting at the. Yeah, no. I'm going to make jokes. Because yeah, I mean they look realistic. It could
Mhm.
easily be mistaken for a real gun.
Right, and
So,
we remember when they changed the law and why, and it was not good.
yeah, no, it made sense. People were getting hurt. People were, yeah.
And
Things
Yeah,
had to
especially when
change.
we got into
That was
BB
pretty
guns
cool.
and we started shooting each other with BB guns, and somebody got one just about in the eye, so that was the end
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, exactly. They're dangerous. You know, if you're not
You were
careful.
shooting each other with
Shoot
BB
your eye
guns?
out, kid.
Yeah, yeah,
What
we
the
go
hell?
out. Yep,
So,
all the time.
all right. Are we
Number
ready for
4,
four?
Dave. Yep.
All right. So this one, so Star Wars and Superman were the big movies for me when I was a kid, but there were other movies that, you know, meant a lot, and especially films by Lucasfilm. Now, this was actually a birthday present for me that Doug actually got me.
Oh, there you
yeah.
go.
So
Yeah.
I was the bigger brother. He was the better brother.
Oh,
He actually
wow.
bought me Indiana Jones. So now I'm missing like his gun and his,
Fedora
and his
and the
hat
whip.
and shoes, but I'll have to look for those on eBay or something someday or in a store. But he's also is in great shape. He's got the clothes, the leather jacket. But this was, and all they did was they took the Han Solo figure they did and just,
Yeah, that looks like
you
Han.
know, that's all they did. Took it and
Yeah,
used
they
it
changed his
as
outfit.
Indiana Jones. And I'll also point out, by invoking the Travato loophole, Hasbro's made some pretty cool
Ooh,
there
nice.
you
Indiana
go.
Jones figures. So this is
Yeah.
the original, the old one, and this is the new one. So Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, you can't go wrong.
Now, which is your favorite movie out of that franchise, Dave? Because mine's Temple of Doom.
Oof.
I love Temple of Doom.
You know what? If it's not the first one, it probably is the first one. I do love the third one though too.
Yeah.
And when my family and I took a vacation to Italy several years ago, I found the location in Venice
Oh,
that
the
they had
church?
used for the library and made sure
Oh,
I got
wow.
some pictures there.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
Yeah, no. So
With the Big Ten on the floor?
yeah, inside is that was a set, but
Okay.
the exterior, it was
In
pretty
those-
cool. Yeah.
In those movies, they just captured that feel of old school serial adventures like nothing else did at that
Yep.
time. They were so unique.
It did. Yeah. No, but Steve, had I found that, I would have taken and tried to break it to see if I could
Break
go
the
through,
corner off.
and I'd still be doing time in an Italian jail to
for
this
sure.
day.
Yes, we would.
So yeah. Hey Adam. So yeah, so that's my first 4. Now the next one, I'm taking a right turn. Some of you know this about me, some of you may not. Something that's incredibly important in my life is, you know, my family moved around a lot when I was a kid. I was born in Illinois. We moved to Wisconsin, moved down to Texas, went to Poland for a year, back to Texas, and then we moved to New Jersey when I was 9 years old. And the reason we did that is my dad became the Protestant chaplain for the New York Giants, and he also worked with the Yankees, the Nets, the Devils, and my mom also worked with like the wives from the teams as well. They both were in ministry at that time. So the New York Giants, my family, I mean, it's in our blood. I mean, my brother and I used to babysit, you know, the players' kids. We would meet the players. They'd come over for dinner. It was such a big part of our lives. We were very fortunate that we actually, our family got to go to both of the Giants' first 2 Super Bowls, 21 and 25. The first one where they beat the Broncos. The second one where they barely beat the Buffalo Bills, 20-19. And so I have, when McFarlane was producing Giants figures, you know, I wanted to show Lawrence Taylor, who I think is one of the greatest NFL players of all time, if not the greatest, you know, certainly one of the all-time greats, especially on, you know, defense. If you're unfamiliar with Lawrence Taylor because he's before your time, go on YouTube, type in Lawrence Taylor highlights.
Amazing.
He's a man among boys. He's faster than everyone. He's stronger than everyone.
He was like the Flash. I mean, compared to everybody else, was standing still.
He was
Amazing.
incredible. One of my favorite stories, there was an offensive lineman who was talking about how, you know, he was playing in a game. This offensive lineman was with the Cardinals. And this rookie on the Giants just kept running over him all game. And he's like, well, if rookies can do this, I need to retire. Well, that rookie was Lawrence Taylor, and that offensive lineman was Dan Deerdorf, who I think was a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. He was really an exceptional lineman, and Lawrence Taylor just, you know, abused him. He's incredible. check out his highlights if you've never seen him play. It's mind blowing. It's eye opening. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So Lawrence Taylor, the all time greatest defensive player in NFL history.
Now I do have that picture you wanted. Does it go here?
Oh yeah, you know what? Actually, if you could, I'm sorry. Yes, I did send you that picture. Please.
I didn't forget.
I did. So thank you for doing that.
How many times do I have to see that picture, Dave?
Yeah, come on, Dave. Like,
Is that a Wonder's twin ring? So you're a Wonder twin?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is my
Okay.
Dave
dad.
sends me that picture every week.
Hey Joe. In
Wonder
brightest day of
twins
black
powers
and white.
activate.
Exactly. No, that's
But a nice
my,
picture.
that's my dad's Super Bowl ring that he got for the 86 championship game, 86 Super Bowl. So, you know, we'll pose with it for pictures every once in a while and have fun. You
Right?
know,
Why not?
He loans it to us, show it to people, take it to work. You know, I was working with a group of kids and I brought in a bag of chips and I had it on my finger. I just kept reaching in, holding it up like this with the ring on my finger, eating. I'm like, these are great chips. And the kids are like, I guess Dave likes those potato chips or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
my finger.
You like some kind of bling?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, my dad's Super Bowl. Thank you for remembering that. Thank you for showing that. Like I said, I bleed giant blue because of what my dad did, and you know, watching them win multiple Super Bowls has
I've always been a Steelers fan. I don't mind the Giants though, and I especially like that Eli and the crew beat Tom Brady twice.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, as a Steelers fan, you have to, and that's a whole other conversation.
Right.
But yeah, you gotta love that.
I mean, you had the catch in the one game and
the helmet catch, and then Mario Manningham and the other one. Yeah,
Yes.
incredible.
Those are
So
amazing.
knocking the Tom Brady and the Patriots off. Tom
and as
Brady
good as
knocking the Patriots off twice. Definitely highlights for me outside of being at 2 Super Bowls. Fun fact, Super Bowl 25 was in the 1990 season. 1991, it took place, and America was involved with the Gulf War at that time. And that was the Super Bowl where Whitney Houston performed the national anthem. So Doug and I were there for that moment, and we knew it was incredible. Little did we know that decades later, that would be the standard for the national anthem. So
right.
Now, I just want to say one thing. You know, when I first met Doug and Dave online, they seemed like nice guys, and you know, we had some interests that were similar. But then when I found out that they were diehard Yankees and New York Giants fans, I knew that they were good people. I mean, I just knew right away.
That was confirmed.
right back at you, Joe. Right back at you.
See, Joe, I didn't think that was a direction you were going at all.
I was waiting for it to drop.
Mark.
No, I meant it. It's good.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate
But
it.
you had Eli, you had the brothers, right? Eli and Peyton, and
Yeah.
Peyton's last Super Bowl win, his team won that. That wasn't really on his shoulders. Like he was just there. Eli was a big part of both of those wins for
I'll
his
tell you
team.
what, that
his team.
second Super Bowl especially, I believe he went
Yeah.
30 for 40. He carved them up.
Mhm.
And at the end of the game, like his drive, he just eviscerated them. He sliced and diced them. Like the Patriots had no chance at the end of that game, to the point where they let the Giants score because they wanted to have a little extra time. But I could talk football for hours. I'll jump back to action figures.
Right. All right, number 6.
Yeah, number 6. So this is a little different. I wanted to do something a little different for this as well. Anyone who knows me knows, like, you know, I'm not handy. I'm not mechanical. Like, I can change a light bulb, and that's about it. I'm not a car guy. Like, I don't care. I drive a Honda Accord. I have for years just because it's a really good, reliable car. Like, cars, like people like, oh, is that a Toyota? Is that a this? Is that? I'm like, I have no idea. It had 4 wheels. That's what I know. So
I'm the same. I don't care about cars at all.
I don't care about cars at all.
Don't listen, Steve.
Except,
I'm not listening.
one.
Not
Except,
listening.
yes.
There is one
Everything's fine.
exception.
There we go.
The Batmobile, the one car I truly love.
Yep.
This is the Mattel version of the Batman 66. And I
The
got this probably a
OG.
little over a decade ago. I'm not invoking the Travato loophole because I do have others. I have the Tumbler from Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. I have the Batman.
Nothing will ever
89
beat that
version.
though.
Those are great, but this was my
Lincoln,
first
baby.
Batmobile in terms of what I fell in love with. So this is the ultimate cool car for me. So I felt like I had to show it. And I love the tumbler too. And I just
See,
got
the
the
tumbler-
McFarlane one, and it's gorgeous.
The
I
tumbler's
just
my least
honestly-
favorite. It would have to be. That's my first favorite, and then
Yeah.
my second one would be the Michael Keaton one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Michael Keaton is probably I'd say it's in my top 3, but this and the tumbler are like 1 and 1A, and the only reason this is the first, so I give it
That is
1.
the first.
But I
Yeah.
love
Right.
the
The
tumbler.
OG.
I love the tumbler too. So this is a lot of fun. I wanted to show it. Batman and Robin. I actually have a couple videos on the AFC channel where I utilize this. They're actually some of my favorite videos. So there's one where they're stuck in traffic. So if you ever get a chance, check it out. I got to use this. It was a lot of fun.
And you have them posed perfectly in there with their capes,
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, how else are they gonna sit? You know,
Yeah.
so
right?
yeah.
Does a little light work on that? Is that one of the ones with?
No,
light?
it's not electronic at all.
Okay.
Not electronic. It's the one Mattel did. Interestingly enough, McFarlane put out one a few years ago. I picked it up and then I returned it immediately because I'm like, it's smaller. It's not nearly as nice. Like I'm like, I have the better one. Why bother? I just returned it. And I kept.
And
this
do you
one.
collect all the Matchbox ones that they come out with like every couple of years?
You know what? I think I have the Matchbox version of this one, but I was never a big Matchbox guy, so I only have a couple of those. I don't have a lot.
Hot Wheels just came out with a collection of 6 Batmobiles in one box.
That's cool.
I'll send you the link, Dave, because it will tempt you.
It will. And you guys are great at that. You're like, oh, did you hear about this?
Oh,
Well,
what
Mark
about
is the
this?
ultimate at
That's
spending
Mark's
other people's
deal.
money, isn't
Oh,
he?
yeah, but wait,
Yeah.
there's more.
Oh, hey, I'm good at that too. So, and this next one, number 7, it's connected to that in that it's a vehicle, and it's my all-time favorite ship.
Three.
It does because the
And-
2 figures were in it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
1978. This is the original. It's complete.
Sweet.
It's got all it's grayed or yellowed or and then the stickers are peeling up, but this is from 1978. This is my Millennium Falcon from my childhood, and it's the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy, and it will always be my. And there are other spaceships I love too.
All right, but that's the most iconic spaceship in movie history.
In my opinion, it is. And ironically, their very first design for the Millennium Falcon was, if you watch the opening of Star Wars, it's the Rebel blockade runner. That was supposed to be the Falcon. And they realized at that time, I guess Space 1999 had come out, and the blockade runner kind of resembled that ship a little bit. They're like, we don't want our main ship to look just like the one from this TV show. So they kind of threw this one together. And it's
It
amazing.
does look that way, doesn't it? It looks like it was thrown together. It doesn't look like any ship you'd ever see anywhere else.
Somebody drew it on a napkin and said, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. So this is just as good as the special effects in the movies.
Now, do you have the string and the practice ball too? Because that's the rarest part of that thing to have.
You know what?
That's always the part that everybody loses is the
Does that
string and
answer
the
your
little
question?
ball.
Oh, look at there he has
there it
it. He does.
That thing's worth more than the whole damn Falcon.
I have no idea.
What the hell's an aluminum Falcon? I love that line.
No, that's amazing too.
I love it. I mean, hours playing with that. It's a perfect vehicle. It's a perfect set. It's so great. And that I remember that Christmas. It was a Christmas gift. And that's might be my most memorable Christmas. Like Doug and I got the Death Star. We got a bunch of Star Wars figures. We got the Millennium Falcon. I got a Duke football. It just all stands out because it was just so. I keep using the word magical in my childhood.
Cool.
One of mine was getting the AT-AT. Well,
That's a great piece. Yeah.
So Dave, if you send some photographs, like each angle and everything of that Millennium Falcon to Steve, he'll weld one for you.
Yeah.
Come on, Steve. Let's
All
have
right.
a project.
Done.
Oh, he's going to
He's going
get
to show
something.
something he's welded. Watch.
All right, already.
Let's see it.
There it is.
That's cool.
There it is.
Done.
Yep.
Millennium
awesome.
Falcon. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, Steve. We'll make you big a second.
There we go.
Nice.
Yep. The AMT.
That's cool. That's
Oh,
really
so
still
that's the
haven't
original
opened yet.
box of what you have, Dave?
What's that?
Well, no, this is a newer version. This is
Oh, okay.
That's a model, right? You got to put it together.
This thing came out in 2005.
Yeah.
So
So I can
this is the
okay.
original 1978 one. A girl I was dating at the time
Yeah.
bought me the new Power of the Force one in 1998, and I ended up trading that to another collector for a couple figures I didn't have because I'm like, got the original, it's okay. But I mean, the 98 one I had in the package; it was never opened.
Oh wow.
So that's a really nice piece too. So there are other ships I love. I love Serenity from Firefly.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good ship.
You know, the Enterprise from Star Trek. You know, that's cool. But nothing compares to the Falcon or some of like the X-wing fighter.
Oh yeah,
You
they
know,
were just
those
the coolest
are my
toys.
ships because Star Wars is kind of it for me. When it
I
comes
always
was
to,
thought
no
the
other
Slave
vehicle
one was a
like
little
those.
weird.
Yeah,
you
those
know, it was
vehicles were unique.
bizarre, but it was still cool. It was
Yeah.
still
They
cool.
were.
Doug had that one growing up.
Oh, the slave
That's the
one.
one he had. Yeah, we didn't
Yeah,
always have the
the
same
waffle
ship.
iron.
So yeah, no, absolutely, a street lamp kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I believe was number 7.
Yes.
So now I'm gonna go back to my favorite character of all time. When it comes to superheroes, Superman, and I. There came a point where, you know, when superhero fare wasn't that common on the big or small screen, when a TV show came out and they put a really fresh, unique spin on the story of Superman by going backwards. They went back to when Superman was a teenager. It was called Smallville.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And,
Yep.
Yep.
and as a huge Superman fan, where there hadn't been anything much since like Lois and Clark was sort of a short-lived, only 4 seasons in the 90s, and that's probably my least favorite incarnation. You know, the Superman films petered out. 3 and 4 weren't any good. There just wasn't much good Superman stuff. And then Smallville came out, and it was such a unique twist on the character, you know, showing him as a teenager. And Superman, in my opinion, is one of the only characters you can do that with. You know, I don't want to see 10 seasons, 20 episodes a season of Peter Parker before he became Spider-Man. That's just not,
No.
it's not going to be
Right.
interesting. But because he had his powers, because of, you know, his background, I thought it was a really, look, it's a flawed series. You know, there are over 200 episodes. Not every episode's going to be,
Right.
winner.
you know,
They're
the
not all going to
greatest.
be winners.
They're not all going to be winners, but there's so many great Superman moments in that show that if you're a Superman fan and you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. Even if you just look up a list of like the best episodes and want to do it that way, if you don't want to commit to 200 plus episodes. But if you look behind me, I actually have the Smallville figures right behind me, running up and going across. I own all the figures that DC Direct produced from back in the day. I have this one on the wall in the package. But the one I also really wanted to show you, Travato loophole invoked, is this. And
It's a nickel every time you
final
do that.
season. Clark
He TM'd
Kent
it.
wore this, you know, red jacket with the Superman insignia. And the reason this Superman figure was really rare, really expensive, really hard to find. And I passed on it when I had the chance. And here's why. Because to get this figure, it came out, and here it is in the package, as a Best Buy exclusive that
wow.
came with all 10 seasons of the show on DVD.
Holy
It was
crap.
$250 for the entire set.
To
And I
get
was
that
such a big
figure
fan. I've been buying each season on DVD every
as
year
it
they came out.
Right. Yeah.
So I had the first 9. I'm like, I'm not going to spend $250 to get an action figure and one set of
season.
DVDs that I don't own, and then double all the others. So I passed on it, and lo and behold, over a decade later, I waited, I kept looking,
Patience.
and on eBay,
Patience.
I got both of these for a little bit less than what it would have cost me back in the day to get this. And this was Clark Kent when he was very nearly Superman in season 10 at the end of Smallville. And again, a rare and difficult, expensive figure to find typically.
And that was also the one that had the Laura Vandervoort Supergirl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Dave, when this came out, did you watch the show from the very beginning?
So
I
here's what I'm
didn't.
gonna say.
I'll tell you. Oh, go ahead. But I'll tell you why I didn't. Go ahead.
No,
Well, I was going to say, when I saw it come out, and the first thing they had him like hanging as the Scarecrow, you know, because he had taken the
yeah,
kryptonite
kryptonite necklace. They put it on him.
from Atlanta. So
Yeah.
he's sitting down there and he's got the S that's kind of crossing. And I'm saying to myself, this looks stupid. And I said, I don't want to start watching something that's going to be stupid. So I didn't watch it until the 3rd season.
Oh,
But then it was kind of nice to go back and catch up on all of
Yeah.
them, and do it that way.
it was a really fun show. And like I said, for all Superman fans, even the episodes that aren't that great, there's usually a great Superman moment in it. And think about it this way. 2 things I'll say about the show. One, you knew this show when it was described that it ended with him becoming Superman. How many TV series do you start where you're going to like the ending?
Right.
That's rare. So that was something I think Smallville offered, which I thought was cool. Also, that second thing, and now I'm just blanking on it, but I mean, here it is. One of the most interesting things about Superman, I think, is his Clark Kent identity, and that everyone underestimates Clark Kent because they don't know he's Superman. Well, you have an entire series of that. It's just Clark Kent. Nobody knows he's gonna be Superman. Nobody knows he has these powers. Like, so one of the most interesting things about the character, you just get it in spades for 10 seasons. And it was, I thought, really cool. So, and Jerry mentioned Gotham.
And that's one of the things, that I keep telling people. Matter of fact, I had an argument with one of the former DC, I don't know, presidents or something like that about it. I went to some talk that he gave at the Sheen Center in Manhattan. I can't remember who it was now. Paul Levitz, I think it was. Okay. And he sit down there and it was all about Batman. And he's explaining how, Batman is kind of the, that Bruce Wayne is the real person and Batman is not. And I'm sitting down there and I said, I got up and asked I said, wait a minute. I said,
wait a minute, Paul.
I said, Batman is the real person.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne is not. I said, but the converse for Superman. I said, Clark Kent is the real person, because he grew up that way.
Yeah.
And Superman is who he becomes to help people. So I said, it's reverse. He goes, well, I think it's the reverse of what you're saying, but we can disagree. So I said, damn wrong. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you're a long-time publisher of these comics, but you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Yeah. And that's what some of the modern films don't get with Batman and Superman. They don't know. They know how to cater to one of their aspects, not both.
Yeah.
And
they don't know how to balance them. And that's another thing that was great about the Reeves is there was that balance there.
Agreed. Oh, his Clark Kent was unbelievable. And I know sometimes people look at it and like, oh, I wish he wasn't so bumbling. He's almost cartoonish. I'm like, I think he's hilarious. And he's in on the joke. He's the one pulling the joke off. And his performance, people always sort of scoffed at the idea someone could throw on their glasses, change their voice a little bit, and no one would recognize them. I know that's not realistic, but he made you believe it could happen with his incredible performance.
Just how awkward he was as Clark.
Yeah. Oh, incredible.
Now, did you ever get Tom Welling's autograph on anything or meet him?
So no, I have not. He's actually going to be at Terrificon. I think I might. That's in, I think, 2 weekends. I think I'm not available for it. However, as a huge Smallville fan, and I'll say this, I consider myself a Smallville fan before Smallville ever aired. And I know that sounds weird, but the internet still existed back then. And I remember reading about this TV show coming out about a young Clark Kent. And Joe, opposite of you, I was stoked. I could not wait for the show. In fact, my wife and I had visited some friends in California and took a Warner Brothers Studios tour. And when we were there, I asked the tour guide, I'm like, hey, are you guys filming Smallville here? And they're like, that's a Warner Brothers show, but it's being filmed in Vancouver. Tough luck, dude. So, I didn't know. I didn't read the internet that closely, I guess, but I was so excited for it. I watched the pilot when it came out, and I recorded them on my VHS. Yes, I'm dating myself. I'm dating the show. And I watched every episode like multiple times. I loved it. So, yeah.
Well, I think we all remember recording things on VHS so we can watch it over and over again.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not the only one on this panel who's above the age of 30, I would say. So that's my number 8. But I was starting to tell you, Smallville is having their very own con, the first Smallville only con in October. in Parsippany, New Jersey, which is about 12 to 15 minutes away from my house.
Wow.
So I bought tickets. I'm going with my nephew. By the way, if you ever get a chance and you don't mind being spoiled about the ending of Smallville, if you haven't watched it or if you have, there's a video I cut called The Smallville Kid. And I binge watched that show with my nephew, Caden, when he was about, oh gosh, maybe 8 or 9 years old. And what I did is we watched the whole series and then I filmed his reactions during the finale because it had been a lot of episodes to get to that point. And he's a really expressive person and he had the best reactions. And the person who actually opens our video is John Schneider, the guy who played Pa Kent on the show.
Oh, wow.
Because he, with his mom, my sister-in-law, Doug's wife, Pam, had asked John Schneider a question on Facebook Live or something. John Schneider answered it. I pulled it off Facebook and cut a little portion of it, put it on. So there's this 7-minute video of, maybe 6 minutes, I forget, of my nephew reacting to it. It's called The Smallville Kid. You could probably type in my name if you're not finding it. It's got a fair amount of views. It's in the thousands. If you ever want to check it out, like I said, The Smallville Kid. So I'm going to this con with Caden.
That's cool.
All the stars are going to be there. So we're super excited.
That's great.
Cool. Yeah, it should be fun. So, I digress. All right. So we're going to go to number 9 now. And this is where I start talking about sort of the end of me with toys as a kid. So this is Secret Wars Wolverine.
Nice.
And this is Wolverine's kind of having a moment right now. And this is the black clawed version. When they first put him out, he had black claws. And I remember buying him. This is my freshman year. I still played with toys when I was a freshman in high school. Like, I didn't want to stop. Like, I loved toys. Mm-hmm. And when I got this, I saw, he has silver claws. He should have made it with silver. Well, all the subsequent versions, he had silver claws. Little did I know that would make the one I have rare. And therefore more collectible. So this was, one of the last toys I got from my childhood.
Cool.
So I am going to, 1 second. This is not good television. I am going to check something on my computer. I realize it's been running on its battery. It's not plugged in. So I'm going to take 30 seconds for station identification, Gary, while I go plug my laptop in.
Okay, that's okay. You do that, and I will play a promo for another YouTuber. So, guys, as always, it's Tuesday. After this show, where are you going to go? You're going to go watch
Marcus.
FOC and Chill with Marcus, and here's a little promo for our good buddy Marcus right here.
What's up, comic book players and players? It's a pimp named Slaughter here, and you are watching the 1011 with Gary B, the casual comic guy, and the keepers of the cash. I'm just coming through to let you know that tonight after the show at 8:30 p.m. Central Time over at Circumstances on YouTube, we'll be doing another episode of FOC and Chill. Link to join the stream will be in the chat, and as always, the audience will decide, will we talk about FOC or will we talk about some other randomness in the comic book community? Hope to see you there.
Cool.
Station identification.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. So
Plugged in.
I set up everything. I have it plugged into the computer. I just didn't have it plugged into the outlet.
Minor technicality.
Yeah. I'm like, why is it red? Oh, okay. So yeah, finishing off with Wolverine, who's kind of having a moment right now. Deadpool Wolverine is a total blast as a film.
It is.
So, and it's so much fun. And Mark, this is partially for you because I wanted to make sure Marvel was represented. And this really cool Wolverine is actually in great shape, and his claws are awesome. I still have.
Yeah, I never knew there was a black claw version of Wolverine.
Oh, look at even got the coin. There you go.
With the lenticular.
Oh wow!
So I don't have it in the package because I was a kid. I threw it away. I mean,
right.
So that was kind of where like things were ending for me. So this next figure. Like I said, I played with toys up through my freshman year in high school. And by the time I was a sophomore, I'm like, you know what? I need to not do that. Like, it wasn't cool. Life was changing. I didn't know anyone else my age who was really playing with toys at that point. So I'm like, it's, and that was before I had, collect comics, collect other things, but I wasn't thinking about them as collectibles yet. So the following year, I remember very clearly, it was Christmas. I was a sophomore in high school, and DC had come out with their Superpowers action figure line.
Oh,
And they'd
nice.
come out with a Superman. And I remember Christmas Eve before, I was going to bed, I'm like, man, I would love that for a Christmas present. And I'm not getting it. Because, I was kind of embarrassed at that point to say, hey, mom and dad, I'm 15,
Give me a toy.
will you buy me
Toy?
a toy, so I didn't. So I woke up the next morning, and for Christmas, I didn't get it.
Socks.
So,
Got socks.
however, a few years later, as I was older, I'm like, I can be a toy collector now. I was in college. I was buying up some Star Wars figures with my brother. I'm like, I can be a toy collector. And so a few years after that, I think I had just gotten married in the early 2000s. I saw this up on eBay.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm like, you know what? This is the one I wanted that I didn't get when I was 15 that I always wanted. I'm buying it now. So I got the Superpowers Superman, my favorite character, to make up for something I missed out on, just because, I was getting older, too embarrassed. And I kind of rectified that situation.
Nice.
So that's my number 10.
Wow, is that unpunched?
Story.
That's unpunched.
Well, yeah. I actually don't think these have a punch, because this is the slim card. It's not the full card.
I was going to mention that. Like, I never saw the thin card like that. I've only seen the bigger ones.
I don't think they're quite as valuable. And like I said, I got this 20 years ago.
The slim cards were gas premiums. You got that action figure when you filled up with gas.
Oh,
really?
Here.
I had no idea.
That's how I got all of mine, was filling up a car I drove a lot when I was working.
Okay.
And you got an action figure every time you spent so much money on gas.
Oh, wow.
And it was a superpower collection.
Oh, wow. Man, I never
Yeah,
saw
you get a
anything
lot
like
of
that.
it.
I'd have been like, yeah, give me $5 worth of gas.
Yeah. So
give me $1 worth of gas.
That's where the thin cards came from, is the gas premium one.
That's pretty wild. I had no idea. Thank you for letting me know. I just knew there was a second set on thinner cards.
Man, why don't they do that with gas stations these days? If I got a model,
you get a lot of action figures, boy.
Right?
Gas.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Thanks for letting me know that, Mark.
Well, I had to contribute to something,
So that brings me, I know in your show, Gary, typically you talk about the personal story and then you go to the spec. Yes. But like last time, I'm going to do the spec first.
Sounds good.
I guess I have to be difficult. So there was another show that I loved as a kid, a cartoon that to me was, it was mind blowing when I saw it. It came out in the US in 1978. It was a repurposed anime show from 1972. And to me, it was superheroes meets Star Wars. And I'm like, that's chocolate and peanut butter. It doesn't get better than that. And it was called Battle of the Planets.
Yes.
Or Gatchaman. That's the original. And part of the reason I list this as a spec, these figures came out in the early 2000s when Top Cow produced a 12-issue series. Alex Ross did the covers. They are gorgeous.
They are gorgeous.
Alex Ross, get those. I know Mark has them.
Yep.
They're beautiful. And I just thought the design and the storytelling was so cool with these.
Right, those look amazing.
They're really awesome. And the reason I say spec, Mad Cave is producing a Gatchaman. Nice. Very cool. That's the second version of the God Phoenix. The Phoenix. Mad Cave is actually producing a comic book called Gatchaman, and it's the original version of these characters. Look, if like I said, it's Star Wars meets superheroes.
And that released this week.
Yeah.
Comes out tomorrow, Gatchaman.
Yep. Gatchaman's
number 2?
Yep.
Yep.
Second issue? Cool. Yeah, it's in my poll box.
I put it on the shelves yesterday.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's such I'm so excited about that. So it's Mad Cave Comics. You can also go to Mad Cave Comics site and order them. Go to your LCS if you have that as an option. They have some others, even some rare variants up on their site that you can order. So it's really cool. it's like I said, superheroes plus Star Wars, and the Russo brothers, the guys who did, Civil War, Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Endgame, were attached to produce a film based on it. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I really hope it does. I'm like, how can you go wrong with Star Wars plus superheroes?
Right.
You know?
Well, who knows if they'll do it now that they're doing Avengers 5 and 6.
Well, that's the thing. I think they're off the table for directing, but I'm like, if you do it right, this is a $1 billion franchise. If you do it right, because the design is amazing, the concepts are incredible. It's just made to be entertaining and exciting, and like I said, with the design like appeal to the kid in all of us. So
yeah, those are eye-catching figures.
They're really cool. And look up Alex Ross's.
The Alex Ross covers are just amazing. There's a gold key of those characters as well. But Gold Key did some comics of that as well.
Yes.
Yep.
I actually just picked up issue 1, 2, and 3 in the Whitman version.
Yep.
They're not in great shape, but that was how I was able to afford it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, they're really cool. It's a blast from the past, nostalgia. 78, when Star Wars hit it big, they're like, well, this is a little bit like Star Wars, Sandy Frank. And they took the originals, which were more adult and violent, and kind of kiddified them for an American child.
And added 7 Zark 7.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never seen that. I've never seen an episode of Battle of the Planet.
Oh, wow. Me neither. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Is it available somewhere to watch?
I think it's on Tubi for free.
I think it might even be on YouTube as well.
I think it is on. It's on YouTube because I've pretty sure that's where I've watched some of the old ones.
Yeah,
the cartoon isn't too bad. The Japanese one, as Dave said, is a lot more violent and a little more adult.
Yes,
but it's a good series. The comics I highly recommend. I'm agreeing with
What's
Dave
the name of the comic
on the live
again?
stream.
So I would recommend, and they're pretty cheap. Battle of the Planets, Top Cow. There's only like 12 issues.
Yep.
Frankly, they're probably the best version that I've read up to this point, and that's why I'm anxious to see what Mad Cave is doing.
Yeah,
the Mad Cave stuff is gorgeous. Like but I've only read one issue, so I don't know what it's going to be like.
What's the name of the Mad Cave comics?
Mad Cave is called Gatchaman. 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 Gatchaman is what they turned into Battle of the Planets. It's also had some other iterations. I think someone called it like Eagle Force or something at one point, and that was like Gatchaman 2. So it's a cartoon that's been repurposed a number of times, just because the design. Think about where animation was in the early 70s, and then look at this animation. It's light years beyond, like no offense to Hanna-Barbera, I love that stuff, but it's light years beyond it. So
I think Gary lost his power.
I think he
It
did.
reminds me.
Now he's ghost.
I was impressed.
G-Force, yes. Sorry.
It reminds me of Robotech.
Yeah, Robotech is similar to it. It is, Steve. Yeah.
All right. So that brings me to my final, my personal story one. This begins with the pandemic. When that hit, as we all know, it changed life for all of us for a time. And it still has an impact today, obviously. COVID's still around. But when we were all sort of trapped in our homes, a lot of us, washing our groceries, trying to minimize exposure, trying not to get, a deadly disease, things changed. I was working from home. I have a fairly long commute that I didn't have then. So what I'd do is I'd wake up early in the morning, I'd come downstairs and I'd turn on this TV show that I liked as a kid because I just wanted to watch it. I had a bowl of sugar cereal. It was like Saturday morning every day.
Oh yeah.
Before I started work. And I guess perhaps, I took a little comfort in that, and obviously in being with my family. But that was sort of how I started my mornings. And that TV show was called The Greatest American Hero. And it was about, a guy who had a super suit that gave him powers, but he lost the instruction book.
I love that show.
Yeah, great show.
Yeah, the theme song is
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air.
I still listen to it to this day.
And so during the pandemic, I mean, when we all came together a little bit, not in the early days, collectibles started rising. But in the early days of the pandemic, people started selling stuff and not trying to get top dollar. And so I saw this on eBay.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
This is Greatest American Hero action figure. It's not the prototype from the 80s, which is worth insane money. But this was made for something, a con called the FX Show. They were granted a 1-day license to sell these figures. They produced 500 of them. Now, that's what I read. So someone may correct me if I'm wrong. There are people who are more knowledgeable. But that's what I read. So I'm going with what I read for now until corrected. So I picked this up. And something about that show, like I said, he lost the instruction book. So Ralph Hinckley, wearing the super suit, would take his 3 steps, jump and fly. He didn't know how to land.
Right.
So I just thought like him like crashing into walls and like dive rolling on the ground was the wildest thing I'd ever seen when I was a kid. I thought it was so cool. Like the idea of being a stuntman when I was 10 years old appealed to me. So here's what I did every day in school. I'd get my friends out at recess on like the playground to stand, and then I'd have them kind of like bend sideways, and I would run and I would vault, like I would do a dive roll over my friends. I would jump over them, hit my hands, hit my shoulder, and roll. And I would just do that all the time. Like I love doing that because of this show, all the time. Like at recess, every day, my friend's like, "Oh, Dave's gonna want to jump over me again." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So, and it got to the point where we did tumbling in gym class. I'd take these massive leaps, fly through the air, land, roll, kind of like Ralph when he'd like smash down in the show, all performed by his stuntman, Dennis Matalone.
And now we know that Dave hit his head so many times. That's why he's collecting these.
Hit my head so many times. But when I would do that in gym class, I'd have kids come up to me and they're like, "It looks like you're jumping off a springboard." Just because I would jump as hard and as high as I could and do these dive rolls. I loved doing dive rolls as a kid because of this show. So what happened was when I was watching this show, and I purchased this figure, and my wife chipped in for my I guess my birthday present. What happened was there's another guy on YouTube. He has a show called Comic Book Central. His name is Joe Stuber, and he interviews tons of people from shows like this and movies. I think his latest is Whoopi Goldberg. He has tons of people who are in this type of stuff. So if you ever want to see interviews with, stars from TV shows and movies you love, Comic Book Central, check it out. And it was the 40th in 2021, was the 40th anniversary of the Greatest American Hero. And so he had I forget who all he had, but I remember he had Dennis Matalone, who is the stuntman for the show, and he's become a stunt coordinator in Hollywood. If you look him up on IMDb, you're going to see like an incredible list of credits and stuff, like where he was the stunt coordinator for shows and movies you love. Like this guy was, he's the fall guy in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like
he was a pioneer.
Stunt guy. Actually, if you go on YouTube and type in Dennis Matalone blows up Johnny Carson, it's his appearance on Johnny Carson where he like shoots him up in the air. Yeah, I don't know if this one has the serial number on it. I'm looking.
But I didn't even know they made that. That's amazing.
But it's very limited. It's really cool, and it's gone. Like the price has shot up since I bought it.
And that show was like a really big part of my childhood.
What's that?
I said that show was a huge part of my childhood.
I loved it. And so it was fun rewatching it. Like I said, early in the morning, having some cereal. And recognizing, enjoying it for what it is. It's it's early 80s show. They don't have big production budgets the way they do now, but great casting, a lot of heart.
And the 3 main actors all had great chemistry together.
Yeah, they did. They really did. And so when Dennis Matalone was on, the stunt coordinator was on, the stuntman was on Comic Book Central, we were all kind of stuck in our homes. He's like, "Yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, here's how you contact me." So I did. I wrote him, and I got to tell him the story that I'm about to tell you guys. So when we were young, my grandparents lived in Southern Illinois, a very rural part of the country, and it's farm country. And they had friends, who owned a farm, and we all went out to visit them. And and they had this giant, it's farmland. It goes
Right.
on for acres. And they had three-wheelers. And now three-wheelers aren't legal anymore, to the best of my knowledge. They're
They're
unsteady
dangerous.
and they're unstable.
Yeah.
But back then, I was just maybe a couple of years removed from watching Greatest American Hero. I think I watched it when I was 11 and 12, and we went to their farm when I was 13. And we were on those three-wheelers. And what does any 13-year-old kid want to do when they're on a three-wheeler?
Yeah, you want to jump something.
Well, they want to see how fast they can get it to go.
Yeah.
And I got that thing up to, I want to say, about 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
And I was flying, and it's a three-wheeler, so it's unsteady, it's bouncing, and I'm starting to get slightly nervous. And I look ahead and I see what looks like almost like a little trench, like, something like that. And I'm like, if this front tire hits that and I'm bouncing now, this thing may bounce, flip on me. I don't know what's going to happen. So I got nervous and I jammed on the brakes, and I jammed on the only brake I knew how to operate. And it was the front tire brake. So at 40 miles an hour, that catapulted me in the air like Ralph on The Greatest American Hero. I hit my shoulder, rolled at 40 miles an hour, and I got up.
You were fine.
And I'd broken my collarbone, but not my neck. And I
Good.
credit just doing endless dive rolls because I love that show so much, with possibly the reason I'm here today. Didn't get killed in that accident.
That's why they stopped selling those.
Yeah,
I remember riding on them when I was a kid. We
Yeah.
took them. We were always on them.
Yeah.
And if you did a hard turn, the thing would flip over.
Oh,
That was the danger of
And
that thing.
it killed
Yeah.
people. So, and I had a broken collarbone, and I was very fortunate. And I got to tell Dennis Matalone that story. And yeah, helmets, not back then.
Yeah.
And we had kind of a correspondence over the years. I mean, not all the time, not like pen pals who ride each other, but we've had several email exchanges back and forth. And at one point, after talking with him, he sent me this T-shirt. It's one that he had made to honor Stephen J. Cannell, and it says Stephen J. Cannell, our true hero on the sleeve. So he sent that to me as a gift, as an AOK.
That's cool.
So, I actually, and so we correspond a little bit. He's like the nicest guy.
Absolutely, he does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Combat
thanks,
roll
Ray,
into the
kind of
freaking
him in that
wilderness.
show. Yeah, I'm here today, and
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
Very
that's
nice.
my.
Believe it or not, Dave's flying through the air.
Yeah, that's why I definitely had to show this figure. This figure is incredibly rare. Yeah, I've looked it up on eBay a couple times. I'm like, oh boy, I'm so glad I bought this when I did. Because it's pretty bonkers.
I'm like, I kick myself all the time for not buying the Thundar the Barbarian 3 sets when the 3 figures when they came out, because now you can't buy them. They're just insane, but they're so beautiful.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
really
those are the
cool. I
only
don't
ones
think I've
that were
ever seen
done.
those. I remember that show. I like that show as a kid too, part of my childhood. But like I said, almost all of this, that's what I got for you. It's all connected to, my childhood and even things I love still to this day. I talk about my childhood, but these are still things I love now.
Always
And,
great stories, Dave.
like
That
I
was
said,
great.
being
Well
a
done,
fan
Dave.
of the Greatest American Hero saved my neck, literally. So
Literally.
I wonder if Joey Scarberry's still alive, who did the theme song.
I believe he is. I actually think I tried to friend him on Facebook when I was watching all that stuff. Never heard back. But I think he's still around.
A timeless tune. Like I said, I still
So
listen
good.
to it today. Like
Yeah.
if I
love
hit
it.
play on the playlist and I put that on, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm just like transported.
Yeah, still makes you feel good. So
I can attest that Dave hasn't even, that's like not even a quarter of one shelf of his collection in that basement.
That's
This is
okay.
a-
That's why there's multiple appearances.
Oh
on this
my, like not even close to, like there's only, little tiny little spots where the dust print is left because it's
It's all filled.
it's huge.
Now, Dave,
it happens when you collect for 30 years.
this was an amazing first action figure show. I mean, it was. I don't
thanks.
think it could have launched any better. This was incredible stuff.
Thanks,
So
Gary.
I mean, amazing. I had fun looking at everything. Yeah, I kept looking around waiting for my power to go out, but it was,
But you're back.
it was
You
right.
only had
It
one
was,
dark moment, so you're good.
Yeah.
but iconic toys from the Superman to the Star Wars to the Millennium Falcon to the laser pistol.
That's
Just
the best
amazing
one. It's done.
stuff. And then of course, what a topper at the end with the Greatest American Hero.
Well,
And I
thank
was
you.
so
This was awesome. Thank you for having me. I had so much fun, talking about
good.
these things that are a part of my life, and really part of mine and Doug's life. Doug's a big fan of this stuff too. So he's not into the toys as much, but he loves, we share this love of Star Wars and superheroes and all that. And I'm very fortunate that I got to share that with him. So,
And I love William Cat, because I have to say it. I loved William Cat and House too.
okay. Yeah.
Like House is such an underrated comedy horror.
You know what? I don't know that I've ever seen it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
House 1 and 2 are great. Never even watch 3.
Don't bother. Yeah, you know what? I remember in middle school I wrote a paper about how William Cat was my favorite actor because of Greatest American Hero. So
Cool.
And now that I've gotten older, I'm like, I really like Robert Culp. He's awesome.
He was.
Yeah.
And so was Connie Nielsen though too.
Connie Selica, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Connie Selica, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great cast. So
all right, so we're gonna go around the horn here. We're gonna see what everybody's got coming up. And but I just gotta say once again, incredible show, Dave. Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So Mark, we're gonna start with you because you always have the most going on. What's coming up for you?
Okay. I haven't. I'm taking away Joe's thunder. I'm on Joe's special mail call on the 2nd.
Well, that's why I went to you. That's the one thing you got to tell us.
Yeah. And then I got something going on with you on the let's see, the 8th of August.
Yeah, you do. It's going to be the second album version of the 10-1-1.
Yeah. So I actually have something I'm doing. Who knew?
We're going to try to keep you busy.
Well, I don't mind.
No matter what Joe says, I think you're good people.
Well, thanks. Because, like, even though I had to
So Joe, what's coming up for you, buddy?
Well, I just posted a video on Monday where I managed to watch Christ Infinite Earth number 3, and there was a particular scene at the end that just spoke to me about James Gunn's Superman, and so I kind of set that out for people to see whether they agree. As was already mentioned, this Friday night we're having another espresso mail call with a bunch of guys coming on, and I got some cool stuff to show, and I'm sure they do too. Usually their stuff is better than mine. I am working on the second Who Is. It's going to be Captain America. The scripting and stuff is basically done. I think I've got all the B-roll, so I'll probably try to record it and edit it this coming week so it can come out next week. And a week from Friday, we're going to have the next Anachronic College of Comic Book Knowledge. And Cliff of Cliff, New York fame will be on.
Nice.
His topic is going to be the Legion of Superheroes. So we have to come up with some good questions for him so he can possibly win $50 for his favorite charity.
Nice. And I find it interesting that your first two Who Is are both characters with U.S. stars on them.
Yeah, I'm doing the second one only for the Marvel guys, I mean, and this is going to be season 1, Gary. I think I'm going to have 5. I'm planning them out.
Right.
And basically they're all heroes that began their existence in the Golden Age.
But that first one, you just killed it, Joe. It was a beautiful show. I can't wait to see your second one.
Yeah, it takes a while to put together.
Yeah, but it was great. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Steve, what's coming up for you, sir?
Well, I just got to tell you guys because I was looking it up. That's a bargain on eBay, $1,000 US or Canadian, and $700 US for your Greatest American Hero doll.
I don't think I spent half that, fortunately for me. So
So yeah,
I'll
I'm
remember
on
that.
the Anachronic show on Friday. I got just one or two, just a couple of books to show.
Two
One or
rounds. Two rounds.
maybe. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
I think Steve was secretly jealous that a third of Canada is Mark's books, and now he's trying to catch up and do another third. And then that last third is going to be up for grabs.
Listen, these two guys bring such
Chris.
fantastic books. Chuck Kenzie also. I mean, the books that these three guys bring just amaze me. You know, really.
And we can't forget to mention our buddy Milt, who has an incredible collection.
Yeah,
Milt is
always.
without saying. You know, he'll be on next month probably.
Milt's
You know?
got
And
just
other
one or
people
two
too
neat
come
things.
on. I mean, we basically have a rotating set, but if anybody watching wants to be on, you just gotta send me a
Reach out to
DM
Joe.
on Instagram.
And Dave, you got anything coming up for you, sir?
You know what? I'm taking my daughter back to college soon, so that's the big thing.
Nice.
Yeah, no, there's a lot going on as far as videos. Those are on the back burner. You know what? I'd love to do some more. And Joe and I talk about this, and Lenny and Chris. We'd love to do some more DC Watch. It's just been tough to find the time. And I've got a few scripts in the can for action figure comedy. We'll see if I get to them or not. I was really glad I got to make one to help, promote tonight's show. That was a lot of fun. And
Yeah, and so unique. I loved it.
it was probably
was
the
good.
first time I've been in one of my own, like where you really see me. And that was a reference to Free Guy for anyone who's seen that, the Chris Evans. That's why I wore the Captain America shirt, because I stole that scene from the movie Free Guy.
Good, yeah, good one.
It was fun.
Nice. And coming up for me in 2 nights' time, we have J2 from the Low Grades coming on for his first episode of the 1011.
Cool.
And then, of course, the week after, we have Mr. Mark Andrews on Thursday. I had a cancellation on the 6th, so if anyone's available and wants to come on the 6th or something, reach out to me. Otherwise, who knows? I might take the night off, but I do have August 6th available because I had a cancellation. So the first person that reaches out and wants a slot, it'll be yours if you want it. But,
Jump in there.
But again, what a fun show, Dave. Thank you so much. You came on, true professional throughout the whole thing, and it was a great presentation, great explanations, incredible stories, and just an all around fun time. Just thanks. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everybody who watched, everybody who's on the panel. Just I appreciate everyone who was a part of this. So,
and again, thank you to my co-host. It's always more fun having some friends along with you. I appreciate you guys and your perspectives. Thank you so much. And of course, Joe's got his own very slot on this show where it's called the what'd you call it? You called it
the
Travado.
The Travado loophole. Yes,
Travado loophole,
or the full Joe, whichever you.
I like
prefer.
the full Joe better, frankly.
I think the Travado loophole might be showing up on the 8th.
for me.
Yeah. We'll kick it around the office a little bit there, and we'll come up with a good
we'll
one.
get back to you.
Yeah.
Joe, one's for the front of the shirt, one's for the back of the shirt. And thank you to the crowd that was here tonight. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. A couple new faces. Thank you guys for checking out the channel. If you haven't, please sub up. We do the 1011 just about every Tuesday. We rarely miss a show. A lot of times we have it twice a week. On Thursdays as well. We do on occasion do In the Hot Seat on Thursdays, but I love doing that show too, but you can only interview people. Once you interview somebody once, they're interviewed. With the 1011, it's endless what you can do with it. And besides that, this is my favorite thing to do on YouTube. So I get to do it with friends. I get to meet great people, and I get to see incredible things that are very personable. So as we like to end this thing, we're just going to say thank you to everyone, and we're going to say keep it casual.